Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting, the start of a brand new week as the drivers are getting set and ready for some ISRC Lariat Productions Truck Series action here tonight. It's race number 9. Counting tonight, just 3 more races left until the playoffs begin. And tonight's race is going to be a big one as it's the Lariat Productions 200 at Bristol. Drivers are hoping for a solid run here tonight because this could be the final chances for some drivers on a chance to make the playoffs. Welcome to Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me will be Zach Hall. Zach, practice is over. Qualifying is currently underway. Drivers certainly are itching to run here at Bristol.
I'd have to agree, Sam. They're definitely itching for it, but they're also a little bit worried. So 3 races left here in the regular season before we head to the playoffs. I mean, you got the tough task here at Bristol tonight, next week at Chicagoland, then last of all, Richmond. So 3 tough tracks ahead of these drivers, but first thing they got to focus on is the last great Coliseum. And the best way to help start your night is by qualifying rail. And it looks like Malik Kuntz right now topping the board. So the 98, our winner from earlier in the season, first-time winner, back on top.
Malik's on top, right behind him, Ollie Fonseca, finding that sneaky speed here in qualifying as all drivers have 2 laps to put down their fastest time and only have 5 minutes to do so. If you don't put in a lap within those 5 minutes, you will have to be starting at the tail end of the field. But we also want to notify you can see it visually on screen, a little bit different on our ticker board. It's going to be up top. Have to go a little bit throwback this evening. We're having some issues technical wise, but we're hoping that it will fix out throughout tonight's race. But again, this is such a crucial race. Bristol last season, it was the final race of the regular season to see who was in or out of the playoffs. Here tonight, it's kind of the setup of who's going to move on to the end of the season. But we do have a major shout out we want to throw out before tonight's race begins. You see a 38 running some laps, wanted to get the screen time in. Christopher Norris running a special scheme. You think back to Auto Club. Tyler Dengler was running a happy birthday scheme for his dad. Well, Christopher Norris is running a happy birthday for his dad. So happy birthday to Mr. Norris. Zach, always nice to see drivers, and it's the joy of iRacing, and the fact that you can make custom schemes in an instant.
It really brings your creativity out, and good job on Christopher Norris there, repping his dad and getting to say happy birthday to him. So I'm sure that's a special moment for the family there, and that's what I love about iRacing too. It brings your family into it, and they can kind of, watch along, and you can surprise them with stuff, as simple as that. And that's, I'm sure, made Mr. Norris smile. So again, happy birthday to Mr. Norris, and we'll see how that truck can fare through Bristol tonight. Hopefully it's clean for him at the end.
And that was a big thing. Norris messaged me before saying, hey, I'm running a happy birthday scheme. Please just show my truck during qualifying because I don't know if I'm going to make it through the race because Bristol in the past has been treacherous. Not even lap 1 can be safe for these drivers when you start out, and everyone's going to be searching for that little bit of inkling of speed here tonight. But as qualifying is about to be finishing up, Mark Morales about to see if he's going to try his last lap at qualifying. He gives us time to shout out our qualifying sponsor, being Orchid Moon Tattoo Studios, being the qualifying sponsor for this season. Go on to Instagram and look up Orchid Moon Tattoo Studios to see their wide selection of full color tattoos, as well as prints, paintings, stickers, and more. Again, that is at Orchid Moon Tattoo Studios. Thank you for being the qualifying sponsor, and as well to Lariat Productions being the race sponsor and title sponsor of the ISRC Truck Series. As if you'd like to go check out a variety of different comedy skits, reviews, go check out Lariat Productions on YouTube and all socials. As qualifying looks to be concluded, it's time to get some racing action prepared. It's the last race of Bristol for us here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting for a while. We just came off of 2 incredible Bristol races to finish off last week in the Gen 4 cars for WSSR and for Stars and Stripes. But tonight, finishing out the trilogy, it's the ISRC Truck Series, prepared for action. Qualifying is done. The drivers are gritting up and taking the pole award. Gonna go to the 98 machine of Malik Kuntz. Ollie Fonseca gonna be in second, finishing out row number 1. Down to row number 2, we find Mark Whitley in the 77 machine. One of the main drivers to watch out for, and it is outside. Gonna be John Forbes in the 11, looking to be very strong for himself. Can the 11 get into victory lane? We'll find out as well. Down in row number 3, going to be Danny Cochran, Blake Hoppy in the 31, Trenton Jump in the 46, Season 2 champion, and a driver that won back in Season 3, Nick Crawford, in 8th position. And finishing out row number 5, it's GT Rosari and Kyle Rochelle.
Starting in the 11th position on the inside, it's going to be the 16 truck of Joshua Kanata. Alongside him is going to be the 25 of Cody Reed. In 13th, it's going to be Anthony Gaudion on the inside. Outside will be Mason Cassidy. For 15th, it's going to be the 29 of Logan Brakey, with Ryan Bird starting on the outside in 16th. 17th position is going to be the 8th of Noah Steele alongside him, and on the outside is going to be in 18th. It's going to be Christopher Norris, with 19th going to Justin T. Campbell, a new driver coming in here tonight. Excited to see what he does. And rounding out the top 21s outside is Ryan Ferraro.
A little bit of complication on the numbers. Usually in the 6 machine would be Justin Smith. Tonight, going to be in the 27 machine. Eric Stamp going to be in 22nd position in that 53 truck. In 23rd, it's Matt Upbrook in the 15. In 24th, it's going to be just that of Austin Halsey, Tyler Dangler, Mark Morales in the next row in 25th and 26th position. Coming back to show out, thought maybe he was done racing for the season, but making a shocking return is the 23 of Tanner Johnson. In 27th place, Joshua Freed in 28th, and finishing out our final row, 30 drivers. It's Cody Smith in the 7 and Tyler Horn in the 26 machine. 30 drivers here, Zach, tied with the biggest field of the season. Everyone is unsure what this track is going to bring, because the last times they've been here, it has been a caution fest and just all about survival. And up front could be not even the safest place to be.
You're exactly right, Sam. The last 2 races here have been a little bit messy, and that tends to happen here at Bristol. We've seen it plenty of times. I mean, it's no surprise to us up here in the booth, no surprise to the drivers out there either, but they still want to make it through with the biggest amount of points they can possibly, especially if they're fighting to get into that top 16. They know how crucial it is, and even lap 75 for that first stage, they know how crucial it is just to get those points. Those are valuable points that could be the reason or the difference of you going on to the playoffs or having to sit out the season.
And drivers recognizing the importance of tonight, and everyone hoping to just survive for themselves as the field is about to get rolling to green flag action. They've done 1 pace lap. They do 2 with these short tracks, and for the Bristol course, half a mile in distance. It's the fastest half mile that you're going to find out there in the States. And the Lara Productions 200 about to get underway. Up front, Malik Kuntz, Ollie Fonseca, hoping to be the front runners all night long. Can they get into victory lane? Let's find out. Pace car is off and green flag in the air for the Lara Productions 200. The 24.98. Little bit of a checkup on the inside lane, but they're side by side through 1 and 2.
Side by side, and Ali Fonseca here on the outside may have the advantage here heading down the 3s. They're going to stay alongside each other, and that outside, we'll see how well it works. I think the bottom's going to be the place to be if you want to save tires, but the speed's going to be up top as Fonseca takes the lead for lap 1.
Lap number 1 goes to the 24 machine. Malik Kuntz going to be in second. Mark Whitley, though, the driver that's hoping to get back into victory lane. He won back in Season 4 last season in dominant fashion. Pole, most laps led, and the win. The 77 always a favorite here at the last Great Coliseum, but everyone's single filing out for our top round, that of 8 drivers. It's going to be back in 9th and 10th, where GT Rosari and Kyle Rochelle find themselves side by side.
Seeing some drivers definitely farther back, like you said, they're in the 10th position of Rochelle trying to work their way forward around the outside groove of 1 and 2. And this is a track where you got to weigh your options. Do you want to go out there and burn the tire off? Because this concrete surface is known to wear tires out very, very quickly. Is Justin Smith or Justin T. Campbell? They're spinning around in the 6, and that's going to bring our first caution for the rookie or the newcomer.
Newcomer for the series was hopping on board, joined this morning, and immediately feeling the real aggression of this track, as that of Justin T. Campbell going to be spun around because of the fact that we're dealing with some technical issues on our end. Sadly, we do not believe we're going to be able to have replays, so Zach and I are going to have to audibly tell you what happened. And Zach, looking like the 6 got loose on his own on the exit of turn 4, got slightly tapped to finish it off. The 6 feeling that looseness already.
Definitely stepped out on there, Sam. Late exit, too. A lot of times you do see drivers have problems on entry here at the Bristol because you got to run that brake bias at a very aggressive point to where you want the truck to really turn into the corner. So sometimes that can be a little too much. But for him, it was the exact opposite. It was the late exit that got him. And Luckily for our sake, we all got to see how that all played out for him there. But just holding on to that truck looks like they may be fighting for a little bit of grip coming off these corners, and I think that promotes well for good racing if we do get a green flag run where these drivers are going to be fighting for the grip.
And, some of these drivers did come off. We talked about how we had the two other Bristol races ran last week on Wednesday and Thursday. Some of the drivers running here tonight ran in that Wednesday night race for the WSSR Roast Gems Cup Series, and they were running the Gen 4 Cup car. And Zach, hearing a lot of drivers saying, well, the truck feels a lot more stable when they're running around. They feel a lot more in control, which in some fashions, not as surprised to hear that with the lower horsepower. But I'm curious on how that's going to affect the mentality of I've got an easier vehicle to drive, maybe over aggression here, especially before we get to our end of our stage, which stage break going to be at the end of lap 75 here tonight.
I think you're exactly right, Sam, about that. Is you can, yeah, it's got tons of stability for this truck and they feel confident, but sometimes when you're confident, you can get overconfident and reach too far. I still think that can happen in any of these cars, even with the lower horsepower. And even we saw, Justin T. Campbell there, his incident. I was looking at our order here with Malik Kuntz back in 7th and 8th place right now, right around that position there with GT in 7th. He actually had a major slide off of 4 for him, very late exit. So it seems like they may be struggling with that late exit grip just showing up as the banking falls away and that truck unloads. It wants to really step out on him. So we're going to have to watch for that condition as the night continues on.
And Malik Kuntz hoping to find some of that luck that he had earlier in the season. 98 was very strong and consistent and wants to get back into victory lane before the playoffs begin here shortly. This again, we got 2 more races after tonight. Chicagoland, Richmond before the playoffs begin. It always seems the drama builds up. Speaking of building up, drivers up front ready to go. Pace car pulls off and into the restart zone. Ollie Fonseca taking off, save for Danny Cochran, and it's Mark Whitley stuck side by side for second.
Big start there for Ollie Fonseca, able to jump out to that lead, but Mark Whitley immediately fighting back to the bottom side, and I think this is an ominous sight. You don't want to see the 77 get out front. Sam, you talked about he won last time we were here, but also the first time we were at Bristol, this driver led every single lap, did not give up the lead. So if he gets out front, it's one of those moments you don't want to let happen.
And that's been the talking point of Mark Whitley in all of his ISRC career. The most winnish driver in this series is the 77, and when he gets that fresh air, looks unstoppable at every race we go to. But up front, it is Ollie Fonseca, Mark Whitley, Danny Cochran, Trenton Jump, all 4 drivers up positions from where they qualified. It's going to be that of John Forbes, the first driver gone back just 1 spot. What are you seeing, Zach?
Cochran spun around there off of 4, same exact thing we saw for Campbell.
They're wrecking even more. In the middle of 1 and 2, drivers are still piling into one another, not able to slow down. And we got a little bit of a gridlock on the inside on the apron as drivers trying to resettle around. There's Nick Crawford, spun. The 3 of Anthony Gaudio also got a slight spin. And drivers not able to woe up in time once the yellow was thrown. And it does a little bit of extracurriculars after the initial Danny Cochran spin.
And it definitely was some extracurriculars. It looks like Malik Kuntz and Nick Crawford were the ones that got into that, and that kind of made everything go haywire. Anthony Gaudio was spun around, and from there it was just drivers trying to escape. And that's the thing about Bristol. Everything, not only even under caution laps, things happen fast here. As you're trying to get slowed down, it can cause incidents, and that's kind of what we saw there. Is 2 drivers went for the same space as the caution was coming out, and maybe one checks up, the other doesn't, and then you get someone spun around, and this track can clog up just so fast. As Cochran, last week's winner here, now going to be sent all the way to the rear of the field pretty much here, Sam, and he's got to have a great rebound. But it's just showing here already off the exits of these corners. You got to watch this truck. It may be stable all the way through the corner, but as it unloads, it seems like it does start to step out.
Yeah, and that's going to be an interesting thing to watch out for, because I think for some drivers, they were feeling the other sensation when they were on the Gen 4 car on Wednesdays was the exit of the corners felt like the car wanted to push out to the wall, while tonight it's just wanting to loop it to the inside wall. So drivers going to have to deal if they were getting too comfortable to a different vehicle. They're going to have to change and evolve here tonight. Into pit road, Danny Cochran, Nick Crawford going to be the only 2 going to get some repairs for themselves or get back to green flag racing, where restart. Zach looking like Mark Whitley, Ollie Fonseca. These 2 have been having a great duel the last couple of weeks on restarts. Think back to New Hampshire and Darlington a few weeks back. It was Ollie Fonseca on older tires that had to defend the 77, but right now, equal footing. This is always a great duel to watch.
It is always a great duel to watch. Two aggressive drivers up front, knowing they're going to risk it here early just to be able to hold on to lead because they know how valuable it is. Track position is everything when it comes to Bristol here. If you can keep the lead and stay out front, that's the place you want to be in. You know, with drivers like Trenton Jump up here to third, I think he's going to be on to watch up 4 spots from his start position. Even GT up 4 spots to that 5th position. So this has been fun to see. We've had a few drivers dropping back. We'll have to see if they can come back through before that lap 75 stage. So if we do get a long green run, some of these drivers may struggle with tires, but I think a lot of them are focusing mostly on track position and not a lot about tire.
Yeah, and speaking of drivers stepping back, some have stepped completely out of the race, not making the start of the race, Cody Smith and Tanner Johnson. So we only got 28 trucks officially out on track, and it's time for us to get back underway. 17 laps in. Let's start the lap 18. Mark Whitley, slight wheel spin, getting some help from the Season 2 champ of Trenton Jump. Ollie Fonseca, 77, side by side, exit of 2.
Great jump by Fonseca, able to clear Mark Whitley. Look at Whitley immediately jumps up to the top, doesn't want to let no one jump to his outside quarter panel, maybe try to set something up for positioning here on this lead maneuver, but it's Trenton Jump fighting for third behind him.
Fighting for third, and John Forbes on the outside lane, trying to get by the 11, by that of the 46 machine is the 11. Malik Kuntz has done a great job trying to rebound for the 98 machine up to 5th. Watching this duel back and forth, hoping that it doesn't wad everyone up. The more you stay side by side, the more time you're going to lose to the front 2.
You're exactly right. Side by side racing like this, it's only allowing Mark Whitley and Ollie Fonseca to drive away, but also keep their tires in a good state also while driving away. So this is efficiently what they want to see behind them is our pole setter trying to make his way back forward here. Lost a ton of spots after that loose condition off before, but right now gaining it back here after all that middle.
There's been a lot of drivers that have been making their way forward inside of our top 10 that have moved up over 10 spots, being Christopher Norris as well as Ryan Ferraro. But John Forbes, Trenton Jump, slicing dive back and forth on who can keep this spot. And Trenton Jump, third position for the 46. Able to hold on for now. Everyone else, though, stacking up behind as we were right on board with the 98 there.
And that's a really big factor here when it comes to Bristol. As we look back to Christopher Norris, who's a little bit back off of this accordion effect, but it happens all the time when you have different braking points and entries of the corners and different lines, especially here at Bristol. You can run a much lower entry and have to slow the corner up than you would at the top, where you can really send it in, and it creates different, braking markers, and that can cause those accordion effects and drivers running on top of each other. So they're going to have to be careful for that. But right now they're starting to figure it out because the 14 of Irizarry, he wants to get past that pole of the 98.
Trying to get by, and Malik Kuntz and as well GT Irizarry, 2 drivers that have won so far this season, both in spots where they need good point stays just to make sure they stay inside of the top 20 in points. If you have a win inside of the top 20 in points, you are automatically pushed into the playoffs. Malik Kuntz, GT Irizarry, it's the 98. What a save by Malik.
That was maybe one of the best saves of the season so far. That thing was so far gone on the 98, and he just gathered it up. Great job by him there, and it was weird because it was almost like Irizarry bumped him right at the very, very early entry of the corner, and Malik it caused him to get in too deep. Probably had to jab the brake, and we got a caution.
Caution's out. Justin Smith going to be spun around in the 27 machine. Was usually in the 6, that's why he's got the 6 on screen for himself, but he was getting very chaotic in the middle of the field, and the 6 machine caught up in a 3-wide move between the 6, the 3, and I believe that was going to be Logan braking the 29 that were 3 wide off the exit of turn 4, and it was the 6 of going to be of Justin Smith, the 27, excuse me, of Justin Smith that found himself spinning around. Zach, once again, exit of 4 is the deadly spot so far here tonight in our first couple of cautions.
It has been claiming some victims, that's for sure, Sam. People are going to be thinking about turn 4 here a lot tonight, but that right there, kind of a common Bristol thing to happen. You have one driver up on the very top groove, get into the wall, it checks him up. The guy behind him has to dive to the middle. The guy on the very bottom probably is not expecting 3 wide coming off the exit. They make slight contact with the driver on the outside of him on the middle line, and it just sends that 27 tonight of Justin Smith around as he has the 6 on his truck as that is his number, but hopefully for weeks to come, he'll get that back.
Yeah, admins have already given us an apology on the number situation. Again, with Justin Campbell joining in, he joined the server before the what was supposed to be the 6 of Justin Smith, and it took the 6 away. It should be fixed for next week. It's always good to have new drivers joining in throughout the season, and we're happy to have Justin Campbell joining us in this series, as we've already had a handful of cautions coming out so far. Zach, the field is just about to cross the halfway marker of our stage break. Break officially at the end of lap 75. I feel like this might have been one of the few times that if drivers wanted to take tires for this stage, they could, as they've got 4 extra sets in pit road to work with here tonight.
I think you're exactly right, Sam. If they were, looking to change tires in this first stage, I think this would have been the perfect opportunity right around that halfway point. So I am a little surprised to not see many take that option, but I think also a lot of people don't want to put themselves back in the mess. That it's the benefit of the fresh tires and the speed you get out of them, but how much is that benefit really going to be when you're in that log jam of traffic back there in the middle of the field? And then you never know. A wreck is around any single corner here at Bristol, and again, it happens so fast that you can't react to it, and you're just caught up in someone else's mess. So I think that's why a lot of people are staying out. I'm surprised more farther back didn't come in. That's probably where my surprises come from a little bit.
Yeah, 2 drivers did take a pit stop, though. Danny Cocker and Nick Crawford, both utilizing their first set of the evening, leaving them with 3 for the rest of the race. And they also were dealing with some damage that they wanted to get repaired on top of tires, so not a bad call for drivers that are that deep in the field, getting their repairs done and as well getting tires just to see what could they salvage from this stage.
Exactly. I like the call from them to that. If you're that far back, might as well go for it, is what I say, because you got those 4 sets of tires in pit road, 1 set already on the truck, so 5 total for the night. I mean, if you get to that lap 75 stage and you've only used 1 set of tires, I mean, then you got 4 still left for that final 125. I don't think that's the most efficient way to possibly do it. I think a lot, again, it's just all about track position for the guys up front, but the guys farther back, go ahead and burn them.
Again, we've had a couple of cautions already come out, but it's time for us to get back to green flag action here tonight for Bristol at the Lara Productions 200. Pace car pulls off. Ollie Fonseca taking the point, and we're back to green flag racing, and Mark Whitley probably got the worst launch of the night so far.
Not a great launch, like you said there, Sam, for that 77. That was the worst one he had all night. But what a drive through the center, 1 and 2, but he gets contact between him and Forbes, and wow, Mark Whitley holding on, he's wrecking.
He's going to send it up into the outside wall, deciding to take himself out of the race instead of others, and minimizing what could have been catastrophic for everyone up front. Instead, the 77 will fall from 2nd all the way down to 18th position, and he's going to have to find grip at this point. Difficult with that slide, maybe a little bit too much heat than he wants. But now it's salvage point. Can he get inside of the top 10? As everyone up front, it's Ollie Fonseca, John Force, Trenton Jump, and now GT Rosari going to be your front 4 currently, but Kyle Rochelle in the 21 machine. What a run for himself.
What a run for sure. Kyle Rochelle has been having a sneaky good season. He's had a few good runs this season, and it's starting to show more of what we've seen from him in the past at other leagues. I'm interested to see if this 21 can possibly come out here with a career best finish here tonight, as he's all over the back deck lid of the 14 as they're wrecking farther back. I think Ryan Bird head first into the inside wall here to bring out the yellow.
Ryan Bird exit of 4 once again. Inside driver, and oh no, back half of the field.
There's more piling in, Sam, and again, I think this is what we're going to see a lot of tonight, is not slowing down for wrecks there, and it just piled up. I think Noah Steele was one of the drivers in the 8 who just got clobbered, and multiple others in that.
Oh, Mark Whitley, scared of how Ryan Bird was going to come back up into the track and completely stopped in front of the field, and nobody had a chance to slow down. Initially, it was going to be the 74 running in the back of the 77, as well as having other drivers piling in. A situation that you were hoping maybe more drivers wouldn't get caught up, but once again, Zach, it's the aftermath of wrecks that are causing more damage than the initial spin.
You're exactly right. It's usually 1 to 2 trucks involved in the first one, and then the slowing down effect, because again, everything, you catch up to everything so fast here at Bristol. You think about these guys are running 14.8 seconds around here for a fast lap. I mean, things happen in the blink of an eye, and that's what I think people are having trouble with, is not getting slowed down, some others slowing up more, and it's causing those traffic jams that cause people to have to jab the brakes. And when you have to slam on the brakes, you usually lose control of your truck. And like we've seen, just been major pileups. As I think we're having a few definitely hit pit road now to get some tires and maybe get those trucks worked on after that pileup.
And we talk about the speed of Bristol. It's a very fast 1.5 miles, but luckily it's slow enough that if once you try to slow down, you get in the wall, the race isn't completely over for yourself. And Ryan Bird, no required damage for the 49, but coming into pit road, going to get service done as well. Joining him, going to be Mark Whitley, Noah Steele, Mark Morales, Tyler Dangler, and Austin Halsey to get repairs done for themselves. Nick Crawford, Danny Cochran, at least for Nick Crawford, that wreck hinders the 74 a ton. He used the set of tires, now caught up in that last aftermath wreck. It's not a good thing for the 74. He's going to have to deal with even more damage that he had on top of the others that he was dealing with. As see what our top 5 list looks like. Got Ollie Fonseca in the 24, John Forbes in the 11, Trenton Jump, GT Rosari, Kyle Rochelle. A good run so far for all 5 of those drivers. Kyle Rochelle, important here tonight to get as big stage points as possible because he's 17th in points right now, Zach, and finds himself 28 points off of Logan Brakey. And currently Logan is outside of the top 10, so no bonus points at this current moment for the 29.
That's not good for the 29 right now. He needs to make sure he's trying to push himself farther up. But again, a lot of what this race is attrition. You could be sitting back there farther in the field and really outside the top 10 right now, and you may not get stage points. But if you can survive this race, and you never know, I mean, you could turn a night where you're running outside the top 20 into a top 5 here with how these races play out at Bristol. So you just got to keep your head in the game for Logan Brakey and try not to lose too many points here tonight at this Bristol Motor Speedway with only 3 races left to go before we start the playoffs. So it's going to be fun to watch who can survive this thing, Sam, because so far it's been a little bit of a struggle for these drivers to hold on to this truck.
Yeah, I'm just curious if maybe it's just the stage kind of putting a little bit more aggression in the drivers. I know the exit of 4 has been very tricky currently, but maybe after the stage, we can find some green flag action. Stage break at the end of lap 75. Top 10 drivers get bonus points. And up front, Ollie Fonseca, John Forbes ready to get back to green flag action as we're back to green, and it's the 24 already clear for that of the battle for second.
Great jump out again, once again from Fonseca, but now going to have new contenders behind us, John Forbes. And look at GT Irizarry in the 14, a concrete driver. I tell you, the drivers that run good on concrete, they tend to run good at the other concrete tracks, and it's showing once again the 14 of GT Irizarry. I think he's just one of those drivers.
Same for Ollie Fonseca. Ollie got his first ever ISRC win at Dover back in season 3. GT Rosari, he's done well at the concrete and as well as done well this season. Winner back at Las Vegas and hoping to hold off as driver really on the move. Christopher Norris, biggest mover of the race so far in the 38, up to 3rd. Right now, and you're seeing him trying to move forward, running the happy birthday dad scheme. Tonight, Zach looking good, carrying the momentum he had last season here at Bristol. As up and inside of the wall, it's Matt Upbrook, who's going to be exiting turn 2 and still in the outside wall.
It's so hard to get out of that outside wall sometimes when you hit it, and drivers like Upbrook there luckily did a good job to get back out of it, but back here in 18th and definitely lost some ground from that right behind Kanata here in the 17th position. But you can see, look back behind him, it's Mark Whitley on the charge. He's trying to come back through, and he's got those fresh tires, Sam. He's going to be flying in that 77.
And Mark Whitley's got to be careful. He is known for once he has one issue, it can balloon out to others when he's driving through the field. Hoping tonight that aggression is not going to be hurting him. You also see Danny Cochran trying to move forward and following in the 77's tire tracks as they are going to have to go through wall after wall of trying to move forward because currently it's a lot of side-by-side action up inside of our top 10. It's Ryan Ferraro, John Forbes. Forbes really losing out on that last restart as he's fallen now all the way down to 6th place for the 11.
Very surprising to see John Forbes struggling like this right now. We started on that front row and now just falling back into the clutches of the rest of the field. And Ferraro, what a run for him. We talked about Christopher Norris, the spots he gained. Ferraro now up 14 positions for himself. So that 34 also on the move.
Trusting for a lot of grace. And Blake Hoppy luckily gave just enough room for the 11, but a bad bump gets him sideways and in front of the whole entire field. Everyone clogging up the track, and it continues to clog up into the front stretch as drivers going into the pit road, down on the apron, and another caution coming out here tonight.
And again, that accordion effect, it all starts with a driver usually ahead or even a couple trucks ahead of you. And all that was the 34 Ryan Ferraro there clears the 11, goes down to 3 and 4. Probably doesn't drive in the deepest that the 11 would thought. He got on the back bumper of the 34, had to check up. Then it leads to the 31 checking up for the 11. And sometimes, again, when you run those brakes so far rearward, the rear tires are the first tires to lock up. And when that happens, you are going around. And that's unfortunately what we saw for Hoppy there. And Eric Stamp behind him couldn't really do nothing to get slowed down to miss that.
First driver with required damage here tonight goes to the 3 of Anthony Gaudio, who's one of the drivers outside of our top 16 in points. Needed a strong day for himself. This is going to hurt Anthony Gaudio and kind of place him most likely into a must-win scenario if the 3 is going to make the playoffs this season. But for the rest of the field, another just calm down moment as we're on lap 54 of 200. But we do have our stage break at the end of lap 75, so drivers recognizing, hey, it's crunch time if you want to get those bonus points. Again, only the top 10 get bonus points at our stage break, where first place gets 10 bonus points, second gets 9, 8 points goes to third and continues to dwindle down to get to 10th place, where currently that's Cody Reed, would get 1 bonus point if the stage was to end now. But drivers more piling into pit road. Zach, this is looking like it could be a grueler of a night for the drivers out on track on how do you survive this race if you're in the middle or even the back half of the field.
I think you're exactly right. These drivers better be prepared. I mean, we're 55 laps in. I believe we're on our 5th caution of the night. So drivers have got to bunker down, man. I mean, we'll get to this lap 75 stage here. If you're someone like Ali Fonseca out front, you're probably not the most mad about these yellows because you've just been able to control this race pretty much and just cruise, not even have to pit yet. So it's looking good for the 24 team out front and anybody who has track position, but we see how fast it can flip upside down on its head with some of the drivers that we have farther back in the field.
And one thing that you could be slightly concerned about, you could say, is how are the drivers going to react if they're coming into pit road? Because a lot of these drivers could be having issues of maybe they find themselves being up front for majority of this race in the first stage, but maybe some drivers going to pit right before the stage break and take that track position once they hit the stage break.
I think you're exactly right, Sam. If we get another yellow here in, say, 10 laps, even right now with this yellow right here, we may see some of these drivers have pit this time, look to stay out and try to gain that track position to stay up front and stay out of the mess. And again, if we do get another one here in about 10 laps like we've been on that pace for, you will probably see a good bit of people in the middle part of the field hit pit road, go ahead and get that done because they know when that stage break comes out, they're staying out and they're going by all those drivers that pit.
Well, now onto the racing surface, missing majority of this race. Cody Smith, luckily out there on track. As we take a look at what the weather conditions are looking like here this evening, not expecting a lot of change, but ambient temperature being 84 degrees Fahrenheit, track temp being 88 degrees. The wind changing direction, a lot of swirling action as it's changing from anywhere from 4 miles per hour up to 10. So drivers got to be careful on what the weather's going to look like this evening. As what could the wind do to change the factor in this bowl? The pace car is off, and here we go. Start of lap 58 is underway, and Ali Fonseca, great run. GT Rosari already up to the outside lane, and it's rocking for that of Kyle Rochelle, as well as going to be Christopher Norris trying to make the march forward.
Trying to make that march forward, and I mean, Christopher Norris, what a night he's had so far, but look at this run from Rochelle all over the back bumper. Had to lift, I'm sure, right there for that 38, but did not want to take the risk to go to the inside and possibly get a driver to his outside. So it shows you sometimes you have those runs, but you just can't take the opportunity because you're not willing to lose any more positions.
And Zach, you talked on earlier, driver to watch out for, fresh rubber to the 77. Mark Whitley is already up to 7th place for himself and still having over 15 laps to go before the stage is done. Mark's got the time, but does he have the space to move forward and maybe crack the top 5 here?
This is crazy to say, but he can win the stage, folks. If he plays his cards right and he picks and chooses his lanes right, he could easily get by all these drivers. But look at the aggressive move. Remember, him and Forbes got into it there before, and Forbes looking to cover that spot off, but Whitley there probably not liking how Forbes closed the door.
And showing his aggression, big bump in the center of the corner. Mark Whitley showing that he wants the spot and no longer waiting. And John Forbes recognizing we got a long race, moves high, gets out of the way for Mark Whitley to take that 6th place position. Now, the next driver in line, if we see Mark Whitley do that same move, I don't think it's going to be a gentle get out of the way if Trenton Jump gets bumped.
We've seen it before with Trenton Jump. You give him the bumper, he's going to give it to you 2 times harder. So you better make sure if you do give him the bumper, you better get away from him. I don't think he'll have too bad of an opportunity here because I think right here he's going to dive to the inside again. And again, that 46, he's covering the door. He's like, you're not to the inside yet. You're not taking that position yet, buddy. As right now, the 46 going to dive now to the inside of the 21 Rochelle. And this is what Mark Whitley doesn't want to see is he doesn't want to see 2x2 action because he's going to have to possibly push it through wide.
Well, looks like he might try to go for the opportunity. Backing off extremely high. Finds the spacing in by the 46. Down to the inside on Kyle Rochelle. And Mark Whitley showing a masterclass. Got the fresh rubber. It gives you options and slight patience. Showing rewards now for Mark Whitley as he's now side by side with Rochelle for 4th. And soon, if we see Christopher Norris try to do a heavy block here, might be in the position to take 3rd.
These next two passes are going to be the most critical ones, but he can't get it done for Rochelle. Rochelle gets back to the quarter panel. If he can get Christopher Norris and GT Irizarry within the next few laps, he can track down that 24 out front and try to get the job done. But it looks like the farther he gets forward, the tougher it is to make that pass on the inside here for Mark Whitley, who's just having every truck just gang up on the outside with him.
Trying his best against stage break end of lap 75. So Mark Whitley, if he wants to win the stage, needs to be making these moves quickly because each lap ticks away. It's just 15.5 seconds each lap. If you blink, the stage is done. And GT Irizarry holding off, and let's go 3 wide for 2nd place. 77 down low, 14 in the middle. He backs off. Christopher Norris bouncing into that 3rd lane, gets the run, and Norris moving up from 4th to 2nd.
What a move from that 38 truck. He just continues to show this season. This kid is definitely grown into the driver that he was as a Final 4 contender last season. Well, let's see what he can do here to hold off Mark Whitley, because I tell you what, Ali Fonseca, he said, Christopher Norris, be my best friend right now because I don't want to see that 77 clear him.
Oh, and there's heavy contact for drivers deeper in the field. The backstretch gonna have the Ada Noah Steele as well as others bouncing into one another. Ryan Ferraro also heavy damage on the backstretch. And over the radio, admins have declared that is the stage. Ali Fonseca gonna take your stage here tonight.
Ooh, Fonseca saying, man, that caution might have helped me just a little bit. I think they're going to have to wait here for that pace car to catch up to the field before they can get to pit road. But yeah, I tell you what, Sam, wild first stage there. This race is far from over. I'm expecting a lot more stuff like we've seen so far.
And what brought out the yellow, Ryan Ferraro, Danny Cochran side by side back for 10th place. A bad bump on the center of the corner of Eric Stamp to the 40 to that of the 34. And as everyone scatters, clipping into Nick Crawford, who then gets into Noah Steele. And admins deemed it was time to throw out a yellow. Too many drivers were spun around. No yellow flag was thrown. And that will set us up. 4 drivers entering pit road now. Almost everyone into pit road except for Matt Upbrook. And the drivers get ready. Zach, and they've got to be careful. Been seeing a lot of black flags when driving through pit road. Don't want to get caught speeding, nor do you want to drive out too far and go over that blue line.
You're exactly right. I've seen that very easily done. You just stick the right side tire over the blue line through the corner there of 3 and 4 on pit road, and you are pretty much from there you are screwed because you just cannot get back track position wise if you get a black flag. So if you're someone like Fonseca, Mark Whitley here, no speeding, no risks here, just need to stay up front. But what a recovery from Whitley. Might have one less tire set here, Sam, but I don't even think that matters. But it looks like he's going to get damage repair.
Damage repair, set him back. I think he's shown that, hey, I've got the speed. I can work my way through the field, which is a very risky call to take. But we'll see if that's going to be good enough for himself. A driver having issues, though, Malik Kuntz, having to sit in pit road. It looks to be some internet issues for himself. Going to force the 98 to stay in pit road for extended time. And as well, a driver that is called in tonight, Anthony Gaudio, who called it done. And driver staying out, going to be Matt Upbrook and Justin Smith to be our front runners. This is going to be an interesting restart for those two that are on 20 lap older tires than the rest of the field.
It's definitely going to be interesting, Sam. We thought some drivers are going to play this strategy. We talked about it. If that last caution we had before this one, we said if you came to pit road that time, you might look to stay out. These two elected to do it. They've gone for the track position gain. Now we'll see how regressive the drivers are with them. And the thing is, it's one thing when you're a whole group and a majority of the field are on older tires and you have a few guys coming by on new tires. But when you're those two lone drivers out there on the old set of tires, you feel very lonely out there on the racetrack, and it can get very, very scary and sketchy at points. So Justin Smith and Matt O'Brook, they better tighten up them belts because it's going to get a little bit bumpy and a wild bit of a ride.
That it will. We don't have the ability to talk to our stage winner of Ali Fonseca, but congratulations for taking that of the Team Watson Racing setup stage break victory of Ali Fonseca, maximizing on stage points. Hoping to get up front, but he's in a very treacherous spot. Inside row has been struggling to get rolling, especially when you're the second car in line. You usually find yourself being pushed back further. So drivers on the outside might be taking the big advantage here. That's going to be seeing the 14 GT Rosario third car in behind. Christopher Norris and Matt Upbrook as we're into the restart zone. Major checkup for the inside lane. And here we go, Zach. That was a bad restart for the inside, but beautiful for the top three that are now up front.
Justin Smith just did not get going there in that truck. And Ali Fonseca up the track and they're wrecking.
Trying to jump around. Ali Fonseca in the outside wall in the field. Somehow able to drive around the 46 and the 24.
Oh man, that was so weird to see, Sam. The 24 just broke right for him, and even Trenton Jump, I mean, he was on the bottom, just got loose. That was just two trucks on cold tires. I don't know, just stepping out on two of the drivers who've been up front all night.
I mean, I heard over this week listening to the drivers, and they said there's times where you can feel the looseness on entry if you give it maybe a little bit too brake, or you send it in a little bit too aggressively. And I think that might have been the case for Ollie. And then for Trent, maybe a similar fact on the inside for himself. Just two drivers trying to grab too much too early into a run.
I think you're exactly right, Sam. I think they drove into the corner trying to get a little too much, and probably running that rear brake bias farther rearwards will help that rotation, make that truck turn, especially help it in traffic when you're behind someone. But sometimes you can get a little too much, especially on the cold tires, and that just sends, jump around. Fortunately for Fonseca, he stays in 7th, but did get into the outside wall. Didn't see no major damage from him, just a little bit of a scuff. So our stage winner are going to have to recover from this. And I mean, the major winner of all of that is GT Rosario and Christopher Norris, now up to 2nd and 3rd, and still Upbrook holding on to the lead with that quick yellow.
We'll see how well they can take off on this launch. But for us, we are going to take our first commercial break of this evening. Thank you so much for joining with us on your Monday evening as you're watching the ISRC Layer Up Productions Truck Series, race number 9. It's the Layer Up Productions 200 at Bristol. It's been a pleasure to watch. Had plenty of caution so far, but more racing to give you later on. We will be back right after this. They're 5 wide behind her pit.
Oh my, the 5 wide here, this ain't gonna work. They make it last, bumping and banging to the end. They're beating banging for the lead. Sora still with the shot here, coming off a 4. That's it.
It's bottom line, here it comes. Oh no, the corner gets run. It's gonna be that Nick Crawford. The 74 gets through somehow, and they just completely demolish one another. Trying to drive it down low, drifting up, trying to be the stealer. Here he comes, Cedric Hunter. He does it. He steals it.
But he somehow drove it into the corner to wreck it.
Oh, they wrecked. They wrecked each other. The top two bounced into one another. Just too much of side drifting off of, and they got to be careful. Oh no, the 4 demolishes in the 28. And we are back. Well, we were hoping to come back with Green Flag Racing, but under commercial break, we did have an incident to bring out a yellow. John Forbes spinning out, lone all by himself on the exit of turn 4. Again, the dangerous spot all night long has been the exit of turn 4 for the majority of the night. Showing now could be the entry point. Zach, we were watching, again, under the commercial break. There was a separate incident happen right before the yellow flag, including that of the 27 of Justin Smith.
Yes, there was multiple things going down. So Justin Smith, first off, that was our first thing that went down. Him and Danny Cochran, a little bit of contact. That got the 27 pretty loose. Stepped out, he hit the wall. And from there, I mean, that caused a stack up. But then right behind Danny Cochran in the 6th position, it was John Forbes who would lose it off of 4, man. And again, turn 4, it just seems to be the place where a lot of these guys are losing the trucks. And it doesn't even seem to be now just an exit thing. It can be entry, middle, or exit. So it's kind of covered all the basics there. So it's definitely tough for a driver when it steps out that fast. And that's the thing it seems to do. It doesn't seem to be a progressive loose condition. It seems to just happen so quickly that they're not able to react to it. So going to see some more of that, I'm sure. But Matt Upbrook able to hold on to the lead here, Sam. That's been a good job by him so far.
Yeah, Matt Upbrook doing a separate, different tactic from others on the last restart. Decided to be on the inside lane. We'll see if the 15 wants to make that same choice or maybe bounce to the outside, where we've been seeing Ollie Fonseca having a better, look like comfortable restarts for himself, but not the worst place to be, it seemed like. Both lanes work out pretty well once you get rolling.
They really do. It really doesn't seem like, one lane is too dominant. So that's the good thing for tonight, is it's allowing, if you restart on the bottom, it's not too big of a detriment for yourself that where you're going to lose tons of spots. So that's good for these guys. But I'm, up front with Upbrook out there with Irizarry, those two are, I know, they work together and are teammates in other leagues. So these two, I think, will race each other pretty easily. But then we'll see what Christopher Norris looks to do. Even Justin T. Campbell, who after his spin, he's been climbing through.
Yeah, Justin T. Campbell joining in today, a part of the Rev Racing, real life racing, a team that works primarily in late model racing and as well in the ARCA series. And gotta say, it's fun to see real life drivers getting an opportunity to join in with the ISRC Lariat Productions Truck Series. And the 6 brought out the first initial yellow, had a similar situation of losing the rear end off the exit of 4, but currently has been doing a great job just marching his way forward, chipping each position, each notch by notch. And I'm curious what the 6 is going to have if he can get up front and take that clean air and maybe pull away from the rest of the field.
I'd have to agree with you there, Sam. I mean, he's been slowly clicking off a few drivers there, each and every single run we get. We'll see. What does he have here? I like where he's starting to. Going to start 4th here on the outside, and that's going to be a good position to be in with Matt O'Brook controlling this restart.
Well, if you're just joining us now, welcome to the show. We're just about to crest over the halfway of tonight's race. We got plenty of more action to give. Have had a lot of wrecks. The track has been tricky. And the field hoping that maybe we get a green flag run. There's no more stage breaks, and we're back to green flag action. A huge checkup on the drivers on the outside lane, and it allows GT Rosari to move up immediately to the outside. It's Christopher Norris leading the bottom lane, and that's a strong 3 drivers on the bottom. Norris, Danny, and Mark Whitley in line, but Christopher Norris falling back to 4th, and seeing the damage of drivers side by side, 6th, 7th, and 8th. What a group to see here.
Mark Whitley trying to recover from getting some of that damage repaired. Still a good bit of damage on the right front, but I don't think it's holding him back too much here as he's working that inside groove, really being aggressive on the tire and trying to make up spots here early in this run. I think he knows you got to go up there and grab the track position if he wants to go out here and battle for a win later in this race. He's had so much success in this track, and he knows what he's doing when it comes around this Bristol Motor Speedway.
Trying to make his way forward. Ollie Fonseca, winner of the stage break. There was a caution that ended the stage slightly early on lap 72. The 24 trying to get back up front, had a major slide on the entry of the corner that himself and as well Trenton Jump had a scare. But right now the 24 trying to figure out where to place himself to go forward, because that slight damage, not expecting it to hurt him. The rest of the field maybe might be thinking, can we stay green? It's been looking good, and the battle for the lead now underway.
Battle for lead is on as Upbrook on them older tires. Let's see if he can hold off GT Irizarry, who's been looking strong all night. And Irizarry, he needs to get this done, because if he doesn't look too far behind, he's going to have the 6 machine of Justin T. Campbell all over his back bumper. So it's got to be perfect here, not open up the door for the 6 and try to get past this 15 to go control this race.
We've seen rookies really show out, and Justin T. Campbell was someone that didn't really know what was going to be bringing out in this field. Was he going to dominate, or was he going to grow throughout the race? And it looks to be more of a growth, as we're seeing the defensive line by Matt Upbrook really high, trying to keep the defensive lane, but he's got to be careful. This 15 cannot afford to stay up there all race long. Those tires will give out at some point with how aggressive we're seeing this 15 run right now.
1000% agree with you there, Sam. That 15 is just sending it into the corners. I don't know how much longer that right front is going to last for him with heating it up, but with the way this race has been going with the continuous cautions, this is not the worst idea, because you get those cautions to cool those tires back down, and they can somewhat come back to yourself there when you take back off. But right now, Upbrook showing those older tires aren't mattering too much.
And also could be a warrant of watching this race, seeing the progression for Matt Upbrook. He was in the middle of the field for majority of that run, seeing a lot of drivers on the inside lane on the exit of 4, breaking loose, maybe thinking, let's just stay high. That's where it looks to be the most comfortable for the truck, and I'll stay there. But GT Rosari, on the other hand, says, I'll follow your lane, and I'll show how to put some fast laps down, as the 14 about to be side by side off the exit of the corner.
Run a very interesting line here, entering up high, and then you're going to cut down here. You get that straight run off to carry the run down the banking, and that's what Irizarry is trying to do, is set up to get to the inside here. And now just going to take this shallow entry in the 3 and 4 and try to make that work, but just not a good enough run off there for that 14, as he's got the 6 right behind him, who actually just got into the wall before.
We also got to be careful. Lap traffic soon to be a factor. Justin Smith, who was up front a couple of restarts ago, caught up with the incident between himself and Danny Cochran. Just about to be to lap or 2. About to be passed by our front 3. And where will this 6 machine you see on screen, 27 on our ticker, go? It goes straight to the inside lane. Lets the field drive on by. Respectable move by Justin Smith.
Very respectable move there from Smith, as he knows his truck's hurt. He doesn't need to hurt anybody else's night. So great job there, just getting out of the way of the leaders as they go back to battles. Now Irizarry finally going to get alongside the 15 and into 3 and 4. Will this be his opportunity? Not going to be able to clear. There's the 15, fights back on the outside.
Fights back, and look at the run already clear on the entry of turn 1. Thought maybe you could have lost the positioning, but instead it gives an opening for Justin T. Campbell to be right on the back bumper, the 6, fighting back. And the more that they continue like this, the field closes back in. Our top 8 all within a second of one another.
Everybody's stacking up right now. This is going to come from the push is going to turn to shove here in a minute, and we're going to have an incident as these drivers are stacking up. I mean, literally all the way back to Kyle Rochelle, it's under a second.
Impatience. How long can it hold out for us? We're past the halfway marker. We're now into the second half. This is make or break. Who's going to get that track position that could set you up to win here tonight? And GT Irizarry gets the opening, puts the 15 up into the side of the wall, 3 wide for second place, and Irizarry takes the lead spot. And there's the opening. Mark Whitley taking a couple of positions for the 77 on the inside lane, but needs some more help of drivers getting to the outside wall.
15 struggling here a little bit and starting to stack up that outside line. Those tires are starting to heat up and fall away as he builds air pressure. Get into the wall here. Is this going to stack him up off of 4? And look at this, Mark Whitley trying to take advantage of this and push himself up the 3rd, but Campbell able to fight strong off of 2.
Upbrook struggling, but luckily stays alive. Thought maybe that could have been the incident that would have wiped out our front from 4th on back, but instead they make their way by past the 15. They resettle, and that Justin T. Campbell sets his way forward. We ride on board with the 2 of Danny Cochran and getting to see the battle between Ollie Fonseca and Mark Whitley. We thought we were going to see this battle for the lead. Instead, it's for 4th place between the 24 and the 77.
How the tides have turned here late into the middle part of this race here. Just past halfway. The 2 into the 77 as the 77 tried to close the door there, Sam. And that was contact that could have ended the 77's night, but he's got the back out of it. And now see if he can close the door on Rochelle. Luckily will.
And those were types of moves that you can make in the first half of the race, and maybe someone would give you some good graces. Now, you make some type of a late move on the front stretch or the back stretch, you're going to be seeing that window close almost immediately. Luckily, they keep it straight. Now it's going to be our top 7, all within a second of one another. You're going to put a blanket over these drivers as they are set up and having a great run up front, but drivers to watch out for. That's 6. Ran the outside lane quite a few times, looking to see, trying to find the extra speed. If you're Justin T. Campbell, and the battle for the lead is underway as Eric Stamp starting to show a nose for the 53.
Drivers starting to definitely get into the battle as Christopher Norris, he was trying to set it up. He went outside in one corner, got to the inside through 1 and 2 the next lap, and just could not make it work as he's looking to close it back down. And, you know, did ISRC work his tires up too hard?
Oh, drivers
take off.
Side by side, middle of the pack, 15th place on back. They are stacked up and somehow stay straight. There were 3 drivers completely sideways on the back stretch, and we stay green.
I think that all happened right around Upbrook. He's starting to really struggle in the 15, and Sam, he's well off the pace right now. That's just telling me that truck has a very torn up right front right here, and he's just dropping through the field like a rock.
And remember, he's also on 20-lap older tires than the rest of the field. So when he was being aggressive in that early run on this most recent restart, it was tearing up the tires even more than what the drivers were expecting. You see the Ford machine of Austin Halsey, Mark Morales, they've got a great show. Malik Kuntz trying to get by as Ferraro, I believe that's also going to be Trent Jump, trying to run around one another aggressively. If you take that back, actually, it's going to be the 8. Trying to make his way forward, and Noah Steele as, oh no, Ferraro to the inside, back up into the field, and that's going to be collecting multiple drivers.
Oh man, and that's what Bristol does, man. You get into the inside wall, you bounce off of it, and usually there's just innocent bystanders there, and it looks like Joshua Kanata and the 15 of Matt Upbrook are the 2 that are going to get collected there by the 34 Ferraro.
Oh, and Kanata was just sitting and wait. Blake Hoppy was trying to get by. Luckily, got a little bit of a scrape on the outside, but Upbrook, major collision, and it all stemmed from the aggressive driving. A massive run was to the 98, and Malik Kuntz came down, just did a little bit of a rear slap to the 34 that sent him to the inside wall, hit the inside wall, bounced back up into the field, and collecting those 2 other drivers. And ooh, is this track putting on a show? We've had plenty of big wrecks. Again, I want to give you an update. Reason why we are not able to show replays, our replay system is not working currently. So we sadly are going to have to vocally tell you up in the booth on what the action is. And on this most recent incident with Ryan Ferraro being caught up in it, the 34 has called it a night, which is going to be putting Ryan Ferraro in a tricky spot as most of the field comes into pit road because Ferraro is going to be one of those drivers that was tied for 12th in points. A bad night here tonight could set him back to being even closer to the cutoff line. And to our next 2 races going to be at Chicagoland and Richmond. As Zach, the field into pit road, make or break time for some of these drivers.
Here we go, back down to pit road for a lot of drivers, and not too surprised here. I mean, that was really the longest green run we got to see all night, and it was personally the most fall off we got to see for the night. And that's one thing that you'll see here at Bristol is there's tons of fall off, and that's why these stack ups happen. You got drivers that really got there, use the tire up, they start to fall back into the clutches of the ones that haven't, and it's tough to pass, so it creates a little bit of a log jam. So no surprise seeing a lot of people here on pit road.
As drivers get into their boxes trying to take off, get some good runs, who may want to take an advantage, 2 tires or more in the fight off of pit road? Give it to the 38, Christopher Norris, beating the rest of the field off pit road. An excellent pit stop for the 38 machine.
The 38 machine, man, just continuing his great night so far after his drive up from the starting position. I mean, 18th up to first for this 38. That's got to feel very, very good for that team so far. As they can close it out here. I mean, what a story that would be to get a win here at Bristol. I'm sure this will be one of his favorite wins of all time.
It certainly could be, trying to beat out last season's good run here at Bristol, where Norris finished third on his fight to make the playoffs. He had to have a perfect run last season here at Bristol to make the playoffs. That set him up to go for a Final Four push and trying once again this season. He's already locked in with winning at Daytona at the start of the season to make the playoffs. He's been fighting now to take the regular season championship crown, which, I mean, Zach, that's something that we never thought about for Christopher Norris. When we think back, this 38's been in the league since season 1. We're now currently in season 5. The evolution of this 38 has been incredible to see his growth.
It has been, I mean, kind of mind-blowing just to watch how fast it's happened. I mean, you put it in perspective, I think, for everybody there, Sam, when you said, this track 1 season ago was where he made it into the top 16 of the playoffs to get in there to fight to go to the Final Four. I mean, he literally almost did not make the playoffs. He was not having the greatest season last season, and it just all clicked for him right at the mid part, and that's what it is sometimes. It's all about momentum of racing. You get confidence, and he's definitely a confident driver here as leading at Bristol. That's always a good feeling.
It's a very good feeling to have, and now with Norris going to be on the outside, control vehicle, pace car pulls off. And let's see how the race is going to go. 75 laps to go at Bristol for the Lariat Productions 200. 38's already gone, going to be gone and dusted. Ollie Fonseca trying to be side-by-side for second, but GT Rosari muscles his way to keep second place.
GT Rosari, we've seen how aggressive he was to try to get the lead from the 15, who was on the older tires, but they're wrecking farther back. Eric Stamp around the 53, and there's more piling in.
Austin Halsey, Mark Morales, others going to be piling in late. And it's going to be the 53 that it was the initial driver, spun around in the center of 3 and 4. And once again, Zach, the entry of the corner, drivers just losing the rear end completely all by themselves.
I tell you what, Sam, normally when you come to Bristol, we see this many spins. You'd think there's been a lot of contact, but personally, not a lot of contact spins here tonight. We've had a few of them, but most of our spins have been just solo car spins in the entry to center of the corner. And right there, again, another example of that is Eric Stamp just went around. And again, it's just showing these cold tires, man. The first, I'd say 10 to 15 laps, you're definitely walking on eggshells on the entry of the corner. So you got to be careful and make sure they get up the temperature before you're really starting to send this truck.
Got to be careful, settle in. Currently, we got 21 drivers on the lead lap. As we've had 2 drivers call it a night. Brian Ferraro, Anthony Gaudio are done for themselves. Cody Smith missed the start of the race, missed the first 54 laps of this race. But the 7 is out on track, and with drivers leaving or having major incidences, the 7 was looking like he was going to have to take a provisional top 30 points day. Instead, could he grab almost a 25th position finish for himself? Always interesting to see drivers that go multiple laps down and how the mental fortitude just to stay out can give you some decent finishes. As the field, a couple of drivers coming into pit road. Eric Stamp, no surprise he had the major slide. Eric Stamp into pit road. And others topping off, tires, fuel. Curious, Zach, if drivers are thinking this could be the final pit stop. If you're further back in the field, if drivers up front, they're going to just stick with this set for the rest of the race.
Well, we've seen in that very first stage of the race what Ali Fonseca there won the stage on 71 to 72 lap old tires. If you were to pit right now, that puts you right in the range for the same exact wear on your tires and the same length of the run. And, to think this race, I mean, yes, we've had some green runs there, but to think this race is going to go green to the end, I'd have to say if I was betting, it would not be very likely that would be the case. So it's just one of those scenarios where, yeah, they're going to come down to pit road now and maybe hopefully at some point cycle to the lead, but how many will be in that position to hold back fresher tires later? It's just all a timing thing. But we saw Upbrook for 20, 30 laps. You can hold them off. It's just at some point that difference in tires will start to show up.
In those difference of tires, can it advance you forward? We've got a couple of really big movers throughout tonight's race. The biggest is our leader currently of Christopher Norris, qualified 18th, up 17 positions. Also, Justin T. Campbell in 4th position for the 6th debut race in the ISRC Truck Series, up 15 spots. And then all the way back in 13th, Joshua Freed, who's had a quiet season, very bad, has a very slim chance of making the playoffs with 39 up 14 spots. Good run as he qualified in 27th position, just inside of our top 15. As the field is stacking up, about to get rolling, a huge thanks to the major sponsors here at the ISRC Truck Series, being the title sponsor of Larry Art Productions, as well as Orchid Moon Tattoo Studios being the qualifying grid sponsor. As you see there, Larry Art Productions, go to YouTube, check him out. And the Laugh Lap being was the stage sponsor last season, and also the White Flag sponsor for ourselves. Thank you to all the major sponsors here at the ISRC Truck Series as the pace car pulls off, and we're back to green flag action. Christopher Norris, great launch. GT Rosari already up to the outside lane. It's Ollie Fonseca trying to find an opening, but it looks like he might be stuck on the inside.
Man, GT wasted no time. He slid up from the bottom as soon as he heard clear up to the outside groove that covered off there in the second position. But Fonseca loose off of 4, almost stepping out for that 24 there. Does not want to see that happen, as we've seen that be a common syndrome all throughout the night. Is now Cochran. He's going to take advantage of his teammate and try to go to the outside.
Trying to go to the outside lane. Going to see Larson Line Racing 6, Justin T. Campbell, also slightly part of that team, but teammates like contact 24 into the 2 as they're getting aggressive, and we've seen those drivers make the mistakes as caution flag is out, and it's going to be Joshua Freed, in the 39. Slight slide, and luckily no one else was involved, but because he was so sideways with oncoming traffic, yellow flag is thrown. Other drivers that were completely sideways, going to be Trenton jump, and another caution in the book. Zach, another reset for our front runners. Maybe a little bit of calm down for the teammates of Danny Cochran and Ollie Fonseca.
Definitely so for them. That definitely calmed down for them for sure. But you know, again, Trenton jumped there, like you said. He steps out loose. Same for Joshua Freed. It just seems like at the beginning of these runs, while the tires are cold, these drivers have got to be so careful. And most of the incidents have happened on the bottom. I think we've had a few guys enter up top and get loose, and I think that's mostly right at entry with the brake bias. But it seems like a lot of these guys right in this entry to center on that bottom, just slowly that truck starts to hop and step out from underneath them. And it's just catching a few of them out and bringing out these quick yellows.
Another quick yellow in the books. Looks like a lot of our front runners deciding to stay out on track, not coming into pit road. Unless you were one of the drivers that found yourself dealing with past damage, we're going to be coming into pit road to maybe take your final set of the day. As into pit road, going to be Austin Halsey, Noah Steele, Eric Stamp getting service done. Up front, Christopher Norris and GT Rosari. Well, this might be one of the few times that we actually could talk to the drivers, as it was a quick bang incident for themselves. And looking at some of our front runners, where they're racing currently, I'm curious on what some of the drivers up front are feeling, but also drivers in the middle of the pack. I know for Nick Crawford, 74, he's had a long day, past winner of this racetrack. I'm curious on how he's feeling in the middle of the pack, where drivers are getting very chaotic for themselves. Let's see if we can cue up the 74 of Nick Crawford. Nick, it's Sam and Zach of the booth. You got us?
Yeah, what's up, guys?
Well, Nick, you were caught up in a lot of incidences early on. We're just curious, what is it like in the middle of the field? Because it looks like it is very treacherous so far.
Oh, it's lots of fun. I'm here with my teammate, Cody. He's my best friend right now. We're just kind of avoiding what we can. I know it was a lap down at one point, so I was trying to avoid any wrecks for that. And it's pretty chaotic, but it's kind of fun if you try not to have such high expectations.
That's for sure. Can't have too high expectations there in Bristol, like a track like this, Nick. But, a past winner here yourself. We've been seeing a few guys out there struggle with really this truck just self-spinning on the bottom side on these early runs. Have you felt any of that condition of the truck stepping out?
I did in practice, but as always with iRacing in the race session, it gets a little bit tighter, but I think there's something weird with the bumps this season. It's when you let off the throttle and get on the brakes right away, it kind of upsets the back of the car and causes you to spin around. So if you can make sure you're not doing both of those at the same time, you can avoid the spin. But yeah, it's catching a lot of people off guard.
Well, Nick, I know we're about to get back to green flag racing, so we'll send you back to your team. But good luck. Thanks for the insight, and hopefully we'll be talking to you maybe at the end of the night. As we send Nick back to his team, going to be part of that Snowy Desert Racing crew. Zach, that's good knowledge to have. I mean, the bumps always were something we talked about before. Didn't think it was going to be a big effort, but certainly it seems like it is tonight.
It can be. It really can have a huge effect. And I'm, thinking about it, the more he says that, it kind of makes sense because a lot of times it's where the truck's loading up on the late entry and just stepping out on them.
Well, are the bumps going to influence this restart? Let's find out. Outside lane now, a great launch for Ollie Fonseca, but up front it's Christopher Norris, GT Rosari, Danny Cochran to be your top 3. Danny Cochran in the 2, though, not waiting for anyone. The 2, slicing and dicing, trying to get past the 14. Not able to do it just yet as GT Rosari muscles his way on the outside. That 14 is cruising.
14 definitely looks strong there off the exit of 4. Had a great run, and this time now sizing up the 38 out front as he knows Danny Cochran, who's been having a great charge back through after his cell spin, is going to be aggressive up here. Also is now Mark Whitley looking to the inside of Justin T. Campbell. This group up here getting antsy because they know any lap now a caution could be waiting them. They need to get the passes done if they're doing it.
Almost to that 150 marker, and OSJT in front of the field, slipping and sliding contact into Campbell. And the yellow flag strikes as the field piles in, reactional after the initial spin. And more drivers caught up in the late mess.
Again, another driver just in too deep, this time up near the top side. The truck just starts hopping, 4-wheel sliding, and it just steps out on him. And man, oh man, I these guys have been fighting it so hard here tonight, Sam, and more piled into that later. As I believe Martin Morales, he caught a pretty good lick of that. Logan Brakey, multiple guys with meatball flags here.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like Martin Morales in the 1. I mean, you look on the inside. When you're in the middle of this field, you cannot see what's in front of you. Martin didn't know there was an incident, ran into Logan, who then piled into Blake Hoppy. The 8 of Noah Steele and many of others had to come to a complete stop to make sure they weren't involved more. But this is the biggest wreck to take out drivers. It looks like GT Rosari required damage. Logan Brakey required damage. Noah Steele and the 8 required damage. And Joshua Kanata in the 16, all with required damage. That's 4 drivers, Zach. And into pit road, going to be late in the group, is Justin T. Campbell. And then it's everyone further on back hitting pit road for themselves.
Yeah, it looks like about from 16th position on back, most drivers are hitting pit road. And like you said, Campbell also joining them in the 6 machine. So, if you're stopping here, I think this is for sure your last stop of the race here. I'm starting to think the more and more we have yellows like this, the leaders up front, they may not be coming in for the rest of this race unless we get a 20 to 30 lap run here that really starts to take the wear out the tires.
That's going to be the big thing. Are we going to have a long enough run that could maybe change things up for this field? As currently up front, top 10 drivers going to be Christopher Norris in the 38. Second goes to Danny Cochran in the 2. Third is the 77 of Mark Whitley. Ollie Fonseca in 4th. Kyle Rochelle in the 21 machine in 5th. John Forbes in 6th. Our pole sitter, Malik Coates, is back inside the top 10 in 7th. With Nick Crawford 8th. 9th is Cody Reed. And Mason Cassidy going to be finishing out your top 10. And where they run, drivers that just came into pit road, going to be Joshua Freed leading that group back in 15th place, taking a set of tires. So honestly, that's not bad of a loss. If you're Justin T. Campbell, thought maybe he was going to be outside the top 20. Instead, going to be just outside of the top 15. And with a majority of the field that may think about pitting later on, 6 could be in a good spot currently.
He really could be. I mean, at some point, if these other guys up front do cycle or decide to pit after a few cautions, then he will cycle to the lead pretty much. So we'll see what Campbell can do. And the thing he has to do, really most importantly, is he's going to have fresher tires, but he has to hold back just a little bit going through this field. Cannot get too overzealous, because you see how easy it is to step out these trucks on brand new tires. At 6, he's going to be trying to make up for the time he lost, just can't do it too quick.
I think also what helps 6 out, he's already done it. He was the first initial caution, spun out, got sent to the end of the line, and had to work his way during the stage. Now it's for the final 50-plus laps before this race is done. And the drivers up front settle in. A lot of them are drivers that have been top contenders, but have they given up on respecting one another with coming up to 50 laps to go? Christopher Norris is going to be the lead driver. He's got the control. Danny Cochran in 2nd place on the inside. Everyone else hoping for a clean restart. Pace car is off into the restart zone. And here we go for the Lariat Productions 200. We're back underway.
Another great start from the outside lane there, but Danny Cochran Great job by him, and most importantly, Mark Whitley. Both those drivers on the bottom clear. Ali Fonseca, who started 4th, and now Christopher Norris has his hands full with 2 drivers that have tons of speed.
Big thing for Ali Fonseca. He has not been doing a great job on the restarts unless he's the control vehicle as the field gets rolling. It's a 38, Christopher Norris, but Danny Cochran, Mark Whitley, they have been chipping away, moving forward through the field together. And currently, now they're rattling on the cage of our leader, of Christopher Norris.
See what Norris can do here to defend, but Cochran is looking to make a run on the top side. But here's Mark Whitley looking to his inside. That made where Cochran couldn't make the move to the inside, and this makes it tougher on the 2. If he has that 77 to his inside, he's kind of stuck on the outside groove behind our leader of the 38.
Settle, find the speed. Mark Whitley does not want to be following a driver as he gets like contact off the exit. Holds on. Maybe one of the few saves we've seen here tonight as Mark luckily able to hold on into 3rd, but gets a massive push into turn 1 by Ali Fonseca.
You got a huge push there, and now Fonseca is they're wrecking farther behind, but they stay out of it as the wall. I think that's Cassidy who was up in it. Luckily, he stays straight, but sliding farther back here into the clutches of some of these drivers who've hit pit road. There you see Justin T. Campbell trying to get past the 17 and make his charge back through. This will be the move for 14th and now for 13th on Mark Morales.
39 and the 6. 39 of Freed is in 12th. The 6 has just moved up to 13th. Those are the drivers with the freshest of rubber, trying to just chip away, moving forward. And a driver that's cracked inside the top 10, we have talked about all night long. 9th place runner, Cody Reed. Surprise that we haven't talked about. Oh no! Campbell, contact. The 6 holds on with slight contact between himself and Mark Morales, but the 6 still struggling to keep it straight. As he does, we stay green. Massive saves by the 6 once again.
Yeah, look, the 6 was trying to close the door on the 1, but the 1 was so far along that I'm surprised that wasn't a wreck. It just luckily the 6 was able to hold on after getting the contact. But Mark Morales is probably thinking, man, hey, you are not clear. I can't tell that you're going to come up on me like that. So unfortunately for the 6, he loses tons of time that he's going to need for later in this race, but at least still somewhat can get one piece.
Tries to settle in, find that extra bit of speed as we're trying to move forward, up through the field, right on board with the 74. Nick Crawford sees Ali Fonseca in the 24 right in front of him. This is the battle for 5th place. And I was talking about when you ride behind someone, it's so difficult to see what's going on in front. You can see here, Zach, I mean, it's so hard visibly to see where drivers are around you.
You're exactly right, Sam. Down the straightaways, you pretty much just see that rear back bumper of the 24. You don't see really anything ahead of them. The trucks disappear. Then you go into the corner, and now Forbes pops out for you. So it's very, very awkward. Sometimes hard to really judge. And right now, Nick Crawford trying to do his best, but he's got a lot of pressure. The 21 of Kyle Rochelle and Malik Kuntz, our pole setter, are back up here trying to battle him.
Where do you place yourself if you're trying to get Nixie? Top 3, all on top of one another. Then there's a slight gap from John Forbes to the rest of the field. But our top 3, I gotta say here, Zach, they are putting on a show up front while they're trying to keep it settled. 40 laps to go here tonight.
They're clicking away, and in Bristol, they go away in just a moment's notice. Is now Nick Crawford trying to drive to the inside of the 24, but look, it's going to open up the door for the 21 Kyle Rochelle, and this is what Bristol brings you. You have the choice of the top side or the bottom. The bottom usually tends to be better on the tires, but just doesn't have the speed early in the run. And when you go to try and make passes on someone, you got to use that bottom. And then the train behind you will take advantage of you, just like what's happening to Nick Crawford here. And look, it's going to be the 98 here of Malik Kuntz next, and then Cody Reed, and maybe even Trenton Jump next after that.
And what the thing we got to watch out for was there was a lot of drivers very close to one another off the exit, and Ali Fonseca tap spun, and the 24 goes around.
Oh man, and that happened so fast. I don't even know what happened to Fonseca on late exit. Did he blow up? Because his car just stopped in the center of the corner there. I will say he did have some nose damage to that truck. I wonder, Sam, if that engine let go right off the exit of 4th, the temperatures.
Oh, everyone's confused on what happened, and it did. It just left immediately off the exit of the corner without any warning. Ali Fonseca's race just implodes. And that we never really think about engines going away for the front runners, because usually when you've got that type of speed, usually the engine is going to survive most of the time. But instead, Ali Fonseca went from what was looking like a very strong top 10 run, potentially a top 5 run, to now outside of the top 20.
That's very interesting to see. I mean, center punch damage right in the nose. It's not surprising to see that happen there for them for those drivers. Oh, it looks like they're having to check up here for pit road with the pace car going you know, right here on entry that you don't want to pass. So they're trying to come down. But man, you know, personally, just looking at how this is played out, Sam, this is setting us up for a wild run to the end here now. And you got to feel Fonseca's having such a good run winning that first stage. Just the center punt damage is going to cause that engine to expire. But you got to wonder also, did he have any, you know, signs of, you know, oil temperature or water temperature flashing at him? Because that's a telltale sign if something's going to happen. But sometimes it just lets go.
I mean, all drivers that were involved in that incident over the radio confused on what happened to Ollie, and has been confirmed it was an engine just expiring without any warning for himself. We talked about drivers that came into pit road on our most recent yellow. Maybe that was going to be the move that could set you up to be up front. A couple of drivers going to be up there. Joshua Freed, who was on the move and actually was one of the faster drivers of everyone on track before that yellow flag came out. The 39 is going to be staying out. Mark Morales stays out as well. And Mark Whitley trying a gutsy call. I'm going to have to confirm on this, but I believe the 77 went with a 2-tire stop to get that track position.
I can confirm that, Sam. I was just about to bring that up. The 77 wins the race off pit road, and it's 2 tires for that team on the right side. And I mean, it just depends on what the left side wear's been like tonight. If the left sides haven't really been wearing too much, we get a percentage that we get back from iRacing with the info when we come to pit road. So us as drivers can really tell by that if 2 tires will be a viable option. The one concern I will have for him is when you put 2 right side tires on, it usually causes the truck to want to over rotate. That extra grip on the right side kind of pulls the truck around. So we'll see how it works for him. We've seen a lot of self spins and some loose conditions for guys getting into the corner. I think the 77 could feel that for the first definitely 5 to 6 laps with those 2 tires.
And he's going to be restarting on the inside lane on this go. Can Mark Whitley in 3rd place get a good enough launch, or will he be trapped on the inside when the exit out of 4? That's going to be the troublesome spot to watch out for on this restart. Top 2, older tires. Martin Morales, I don't think he meant to stay out. And the one machine is notifying everyone he is on very old tires. He's on 45 lap old tires compared to the rest of the field. And letting everyone know, hey, I'm going to get out of the way because he's got 0 confidence on everyone else that just got some fresh rubber. As Joshua Freed going to be the control vehicle, confident, ready, and let's get back to green flag racing. Pace car is off. Layer Art Productions 200 is back underway. Almost 30 laps to go here tonight.
And great start there for Christopher Norris. He saw Mark Whitley take 2 tires and jump out in front of him. Well, that positioning was worse. Is now Danny Cochran wrecking.
Back up into the field. Danny's going to be holding the brake, but the rest of the field not able to react in time. More drivers piling with massive contact after the fact. And just in an instant, yellow flag is out, and Christopher Norris is the lead driver.
Oh, man. Take a deep breath, everybody, and get ready because we're about to go back to restarting, and it's just going to get more and more wild from here on out. But Danny Cochran there, we saw him spin earlier in the race. That same condition, you just go for a little bit more and you lose the rear end. He was trying to save it the whole time. Everybody's trying to miss him, and even drivers like Eric Stamp farther back, they were getting into their own incidents farther back. So there was multiple things tracking down the back straightaway there at that start.
And I saw him by a driver who lost his front end, major collision to the outside wall. That was our pole sitter, Malik Kuntz. Found himself side by side with Tyler Horn as they were trying to get by Danny Cochran, in just a bad bump, sent the 98 to the outside wall. His night is done. Blown engine, required damage. And drivers are just being swatted like flies, Zach. We're down to only 17 drivers on the lead lap. But the question is, for how long?
Yeah, I think that is a huge question for how long. I mean, I think, again, with each and every restart we get farther and farther into, especially these guys already haven't hit pit road now for the last time tonight, the aggression level is just going to pick up each and every time. And now with Christopher Norris placed out front with the lead, I'm liking where he's at here, Sam, because guess what? Now he has his teammate John Forbes in 4th, his teammate Nick Crawford in 6th, his teammate Cody Reed in 8th. That Snowy Desert Racing team, if Norris lines up on the outside, which I expect him to, will line up on the first 4 rows. If they can time this all well together, they all should gain spots.
Mark Whitley is also on the frustrated end. When that yellow flag came out, he already saw the fact that that 2-tire strategy, it worked to get him in better track position, but it put him in the kind of the disadvantaged position of being on the inside with we weren't expected to see initially Mark Morales just pulling off, slowing down the 77, giving the opportunity for Christopher Norris to work on the outside lane. Mark's frustrated, but now it's Bristol, late race. We're about to be down to 25 laps to go when we're going to be seeing this next restart. And the question is, will some people's aggression bring out some nasty wrecks? Will someone overdrive where they're at? Because currently, this 38, when he has been the leader on these restarts, he has been in the most dominant position all night.
He really has been. He's shown very well that he's been very strong up front, controlling the starts. And you talked about Mark Whitley being frustrated with that last start. Well, I think the frustration is going to continue, because if Christopher Norris does elect to take that outside line, that's going to slot Joshua Freed down into the bottom lane right in front of him on the oldest set of tires. And that could check Mark Whitley up even that much more. So this is you're going to see a very frustrated and aggressive Mark Whitley here trying to get up to that top lane and get around this 39.
We talk about survival is the key to make it to the end of these races. One of the drivers that's pitted the most all night long, Blake Hoppy, has pitted 9 times so far here tonight. He is just outside of the top 10, 31. If he sees more drivers spinning around and he's not caught up in it, top 10 finish could be in his window. It's up front, Christopher Norris, the lead driver, gonna have the control on the outside lane. Joshua Freed on the inside. Then it's Mark Whitley, gonna be the 11 of John Forbes. Then Kyle Rochelle, Nick Crawford in line, ready to go. As the pace car pulls off, it's time for the Lariat Productions 200 to get back underway. And just like that, a fabulous launch on the outside. Inside lane didn't go, but Mark able to slot into third.
Mark Whitley is so thankful that Nick Crawford didn't have a good start. That opened up that outside lane, allowed him to jump up there and cover off that top side. Now, what will Whitley have here on 2 tires? Will it be enough here to battle these 2 in front of him?
I mean, we talked about drivers before the broadcast that we were expecting to be the favorites to watch out for. John Forbes, Mark Whitley were the top 2 on our list. But Christopher Norris, he wasn't there. But our top 3 are single file, 4th on back, stacked side by side as they're closing in on lap traffic that's trying to get out of the way. Can Mark Whitley get by John Forbes?
He's going to have to be super aggressive, just like these drivers back here as Trenton Jump coming back from his couple slides and slips here so far tonight, trying to get up into the top 5, but it's Mark Whitley. Look at him. He's going on the attack on 2 tires, trying to make the move on John Forbes, but I don't know if he's going to have enough.
Coming up to 21 laps to go for Christopher Norris. He's just hoping that maybe if this race stays green, he's in the preferred positioning, and he's got his teammate John Forbes behind him, defending and being kind of the rear gunner to help out this 38 to get back into victory lane and be one of the first times this season that Christopher Norris might be able to get his 2nd win, first time ever for himself, and the first non-super speedway style track for Christopher Norris potentially for himself here tonight.
I know, talking to Christopher Norris throughout the weeks, this is what he wants. He knows he's got 2 victories at the Atlanta Super Speedway and at Daytona to start this season off. He wants to win on a regular bread and butter track like this, where most people say this takes the most skill to win at. Right here, this style of racing, he's leading this race. The laps are clicking away. He's going to have to hold off his fast teammate, though.
Trying to hold off, trying to defend. Where do you go for these drivers? Top 3 again, still single filed out. Top 5 all in line. Top 6 technically is back for 7th. Where's there action between Trenton Jump and the driver we don't talk about battling between the 46? It's going to be that Tyler Dangler, but Blake Hoppy back up in the wall and to the 39, and a caution flag is out.
Oh, man, the 31 there.
Oh,
huge hit for him, man. That was head on into the wall, and I don't know exactly how it all first started there, Sam. Probably another condition of some contact between 2 drivers, looking to make runs on each other. But 31 trying to save it, just goes head first in the wall, and unfortunately for Freed, he was there.
Yeah, it looked to be Danny Cochran. It was very similar to what we saw about between Malik Kuntz and Ryan Ferraro, where Malik got the huge run, tail slapped into the 34. Well, this time it was Danny Cochran in the 2, got a huge run on the outside, tried to duck down low, tail slapped 31 to the inside, overcorrects, comes back into the field, and it was Joshua Freed who is the innocent victim, gets clobbered and required damage now for the 39, and another driver down. But we are now down to 15 laps to go. It's going to be less than that when we go green. And Zach, there's been only one time in the past where this field has gone into overtime, excuse me, 2 times in the past. So it was back in Season 2 and Season 4 where we've had to go to overtime. And the way this race is going, overtime seems to be calling for us.
It definitely does. It seems like with the way the race has been going tonight, I would not be surprised to see overtime. So that's a likely chance. But if you're Christopher Norris out front, you're in the best position possible. You like where you're at, especially having 3 teammates around you. You have John Forbes in 2nd, Nick Crawford in that 4th position, even Cody Reed back in 6th. So if you're Christopher Norris, you feel comfortable here. You just know no mistakes, and you should be able to win this race. You're in the prime opportunity, controlling these starts, having the ability to start on the outside. This is exactly what that 38 team wants. They just have to execute.
Just trying to stay up front, get the run that is necessary for yourself. Another driver officially calling it a night is going to be Joshua Freed, who is done, joining the likes of Noah Steele, Ryan Ferraro, and Anthony Gaudio this evening, as Christopher Norris going to be the lead driver on this restart. We look back at drivers that maybe are trying a little bit of a gutsy play, taking some tires, maybe it will help them out on a lighter stage. Mark Morales, one of the few that just came into pit road, and GT Rizari back in 16th and 17th position, getting some repairs done, taking another set of tires, and we'll see how this is going to help them out. If fresh rubber can maybe get some of these drivers back in the mix for a top 10 potentially run for themselves.
Fresh rubber always helps when you're having a tough night. So I'm not surprised to see some of those drivers farther back electing to come down pit road and get those tires thrown on their trucks. It's going to definitely help them out here for their takeoff speed to try to gain some spots back up. But these guys up front, they ain't flinching. They're not worried about pit road. All they're thinking about is getting to the end and to the completion of this 200 laps, because they know track position is 1000% what they want here to have, and they all got it right now if you're up in that front 2 rows. We'll see, though. Christopher Norris does look like he takes the outside Sam here, so I like that call. He's got his teammate Nick Crawford there on the outside, his teammate Cody Reed in 6th, so that top row there led by Snowy Desert, then also John Forbes there on the bottom of the Snowy Desert. So the Snowy Desert team having a great night here at Bristol, in position to have all good runs.
Being swallowed is basically Mark Whitley right now, being covered all around by that Snowy Desert Racing team. Kyle Rochelle's going to be right behind him. And will John Forbes get a good launch here? Could the outside lane just as a whole try to get by the 77? Time to find out. Into the restart zone. And it's going to be the outside lane of Christopher Norris. Good launch for himself. John Forbes is going to move up high, but Mark Whitley side by side for 3rd place. And here we go. Can the 77 try to beat the team that is surrounding him right now?
That team is definitely surrounding the 77, but he's been so strong here at Bristol. We'll see what he can do. But right now, Christopher Norris just focusing out the front windshield because he's got 2 teammates behind him, but they both want victories. Forbes and Nick Crawford, both winners here at Bristol. Can Christopher Norris add his name to that list?
John Forbes hoping to get his first win of the season and lock himself in the playoffs. Doesn't have to worry about the points. Cody Reed's also looking for that march, but he's all the way back in 6th. Up front, it's Christopher Norris looking for a potential 2nd win of the season. Coming to 8 laps to go here tonight for the Lariat Productions 200. Mark Whitley going to be diving it down low for 3rd place. The 77 looking to be the only driver right now who's trying to fight to go forward, and he almost lost the rear end on the bumper of that of Nick Crawford.
Aggressive move there for the 77 to move up in front of the 74, but he's got to do it. He knows if he didn't clear the 74 there, he's going to have no opportunity to battle these 2. But here's John Forbes now. Look to the inside. If I'm Mark Whitley, you want to see that 11 trying to attack the 38. You want to see him open up the door for you, because if you can go to the outside, that's an easy, clean pass.
Make the pass, set up the runs, and right now the 11 not showing that he wants to go side by side. Instead, Mark's going to be right on the back bumper and try and put the pressure on the 11. Slight wiggle. There's the mistake. Mark Whitley now moves up to 2nd position.
Whitley now up into 2nd, 5 laps to go. Christopher Norris knows he's going to have the hungriest driver right behind him now, but he's got to hold him back. He cannot allow the 77 just to do what he did to the 11. He's got to be all the way solid around this racetrack.
Mark Whitley, pick and choose where to go. Do you use the bumper or do you try to make the pass cleanly? We've already seen the bumper used for second, as it's now going to be 4 laps to go. Coming to 3, there's the bumper given to the 38, outside lane, Mark Whitley, side by side, slight contact, and the 77 using the bump and run, giving him the lead with 3 laps to go.
Is it too early, though? Will the 38 repay the favor here down in the 3 and 4? Can't get there, Sam. Not close enough. The 38 losing time to the 77.
And that's just a poor entry in the corner. Got so aggressive, thought he was going to be close enough, was not. And does he just give the opportunity to his teammate or stay stable? Looks like the 38 going to stay high. And through 3 and 4, exit of the corner. Mark Whitley gets to see the lap, white flag out in the air as the 77 watches the teammates battle behind him. But the 77 of Mark Whitley makes the run, stays aggressive through 3 and 4, give him his 3rd win of the season. Mark Whitley wins at Bristol again.
What a job on 2 tires. I mean, that is a statement. That's all I'll say to that. That's a statement. 2 tires, restarting on the bottom. It didn't matter. He was going to win this race.
I mean, you saw how aggressive he was willing to go in, make the bumps, get the drivers out of the way. And respectable moves. I mean, it's Bristol. You know the bumper's going to be used. The question is, are you going to be blatantly wrecking the guy or just giving some hard contact? And it was just enough to rattle the cage, make the space, and Mark Whitley gets to burn it down here tonight. Congratulations to the 77. We are not done up at the booth. We still have a post-race show where we'll talk to our top 3, Mark Whitley, Christopher Norris, and John Forbes, and a spotlight driver right after this. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the post-race show on Freaky Fast Broadcasting for the ISRC Lariat Productions Truck Series. Tonight, race number 9 at Bristol, the Lariat Productions 200, going to now the 3-time winner of this season and the 3-time winner here at Bristol, Mark Whitley, getting the win. We go to victory lane. Mark, man, you get another win here at Bristol. It looks like almost a track you are destined to get into victory lane for. How are you feeling after tonight's performance?
Well, I'm shaking a little bit, and I think I woke all my neighbors up from the end of that race, but feel pretty good now, and I'm kind of speechless, honestly.
Well, Mark, I mean, it definitely took quite the drive to be back in that position, man. So first off, congrats on the drive that you had to come back from. We saw the little bit of damage you had. You got it worked on there for a little bit. Do you feel like that had any effect on the truck here and made it tougher for you to try to gain back that, the track position?
I don't know how much the damage affected any. I think it might have affected it a little bit, but I don't think it was too major. Yeah, that last run, I thought we were boned. When I took 2 to try to get in front of those guys, I figured I could hold them off if I could get track position. And then those guys stayed out and, kind of threw a wrench in our plan. We kept restarting on the bottom, which is not where you want to be behind old tires. So I thought once Nick got by us, I was just sitting there, I was like, figured it was the end of the race. And I don't know, I got around him pretty quickly and I kind of figured something out. And I got to John really quick and then he got loose. I was able to pass him and then it was like those 2 tires, I could almost force it to be a little tight and not really loose. And I gained so much time through the center. And then once I got to Norris, I mean, no offense to him, but there was 2 laps to go. So I wasn't going to just try to work him over. So I just went in there and gave him the old bump and run. He moved up the hill a little bit and had to lift. And after that, I was expecting it back, but I don't think he was close enough to get back to me in the next corner. And then they got racing. And after that, I mean, I could feel my heart pumping in my legs, making sure I didn't want to knock that fence down kind of off the corner. And it was just, man, I did not expect that one after those last restarts.
I mean, a great recovery for yourself, Mark. Congratulations again on your 3rd win of the season. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours.
Yeah, I guess shout out my spotter, Brantley. He was keeping me informed. I know you were talking about how I get a little stir crazy when I get there in the back like that. So hopefully he can knock that off my list of being able to come through the field and not getting somebody else's wreck. So shout out Brantley, keeping my head cool. I know there was a couple moments I was losing my cool a little bit there, but I appreciate him doing all the spotting job, doing all the paint jobs he does for me. Check him out at harpoondesign.com. And another big shout out to my family. They're always tuning in these broadcasted races. I've already got texts from both my parents. My granddad. It means the world to me when they take time out of their schedule to make sure, watch me, run virtual races, virtual race cars. So I appreciate them taking time out of their night to watch them. And big shout out to the league. Had some cautions for the most part, though. It was pretty good racing. I had to come to the field a couple times. Everybody seemed to be pretty clean. I know we were kind of racing pretty hard there and pretty tight, but nobody got dumped on purpose, I don't think. So that's a win-win for a road for a short track. And I guess final shout out to y'all guys putting on this awesome broadcast. I'm still in disbelief right now. I'm going to have to go watch into that replay just to make sure I won the race.
Well, the aggressive driving worked out, and Mark Whitley gets the victory lane. Congratulations on the win, and good luck next week at Chicagoland.
Thank you.
Well, that's going to be the 77 once again. And as we go from victory lane, let's go to second place, where we move to the 38 machine of Christopher Norris. Gets moved out of the way. Classic Bristol move of the bump and run, but salvages second place. Chris, it's Sam and Zach up at the booth. Congratulations on second. Man, how are you feeling after tonight's performance? Because at one moment we thought this race could have been yours.
Thank you, man. It's feel pretty ecstatic. I mean, I'm happy and I'm sad at the same time. I'm glad to be up front running at a Bristol races. This is a track that I'm not always all that good at. But of course, always learning and improving. And I really wanted to get the win done, man. Both of my wins on super speedway, so I was really hoping to finally get a non-super speedway win. Show I have the talent to win. And of course, since it's my dad's birthday, as you guys saw the scheme, I was hoping I could get it done for him. But hey, I'll take a P2 any day.
Yeah, still nonetheless a great run, up from 18th starting spot, so not the greatest qualifying to come home P2. That's got to feel good for you, Christopher. But let's go to the bump and run. He got to the bumper, got you out the racetrack. what was the plan heading into the next quarter? It didn't seem like he could get there.
Yeah, I mean, all respect given to him. I know Mark. I mean, if I haven't done things in the past, I probably would have been a little bit mad about it. But unfortunately, something happens when I race around Mark where I become stupid, I guess. And I've had some issues with myself wrecking him by accident, especially like in the, I think, shoot, I did it at Auto Club this season at Motegi. So that's kind of a payback if he wants to put it that way. But it's just classic Bristol moves. I mean, it's just a bump and run. And I wasn't intending on wrecking him into the next turn. If anything, I was just paying the favor back because, you know, you move me, I move you. But I just wasn't fast enough to get there. And racing my teammate, John Forbes there, didn't help, but I can't blame him. I mean, he's back in 14th in points right now, I think. So I'm glad he was able to get a good point stay, and he wanted to try to get P2, but I had to try to hold up on the top lane and hold on to it.
Well, I know, Chris, for yourself, you're trying to battle for that regular season championship. A good point stay overall on trying to close in that gap between yourself and Trenton Jump. How are you feeling for these next couple of races? We've got 2 more before the playoffs start. Chicagoland, Richmond. What is the confidence level with the consistent runs we've been seeing these last couple of weeks for you?
Yeah, I mean, Chicagoland and Richmond has been chats I've been kind of decent at. I mean, I haven't really raced there since I started the uprise of, you know, better finishes and more talent. So I'm not really sure. Chicagoland, I was running decently last season. But in like the beginning of the season, I was overcompensating on how much I needed to save tires until I learned, you know, the balance level. So I think I can be pretty good there as long as Cody doesn't get tight on my teammate, which we're all teammates now, so hopefully we all do pretty good. And Richmond isn't too bad, but hopefully I can get a win there at Chicagoland just because of the fact I can get that $25 from Ollie and then 25 from the Modcast Incredible 5 thing. But it just depends on see what happens, and yeah.
Well, we certainly saw you up front here tonight. Congratulations again on second place. No, it wasn't the win that you were hoping for, but still a fantastic run. Before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout-outs.
Yeah, of course, I want to shout out my parents. They've actually never watched any of my races that I know of because the last time they did, it was in the Firecracker 400 about 2 years ago. And I flipped twice, so I've always been kind of scared. I don't want them to see my downs. I only want to see my ups, but hey, they got to see tonight's race. So huge shout out to them, and also happy birthday to my father. Shout out to Lids, customlids.com. Get yourself a custom hat to wear. My teammates, of course, no, he doesn't race. Nick Crawford, Cody Reed, John Forbes. Unfortunately, they had some incidents tonight, but I'm glad Cody, John, and Nick were able to come back for all top 10s. That should help in the team standings. And of course, you guys for the great broadcast, and then the admins for the great show they put on every week.
Well, thank you for the great show that we got to cover here tonight. Congratulations, Chris, on a second place finish, and good luck next week.
Thank you.
Well, from second place, let's go down to third. A teammate of Christopher Norris, we bring in John Forbes on the 11 machine. John, you were up front showing some great speed all night long. Man, how are you feeling after your performance here this evening?
Yeah, it feels pretty good. Just kind of took what I used from the WSSR race last week and just kind of put it all together. Had a nice comeback run again. It seems like every time I'm up here, I've had some type of comeback this season. So it just feels great to have a solid 2-3 run, 2-3-4 actually, with Cody Reed in 6th as well. So good run tonight.
Definitely was a great run for the team there, John, man, and a great recovery from you. I mean, we saw it tonight. How was the balance of the truck? Because it seemed like on cold tires on these restarts, a lot of guys were having struggles of trying to keep their truck straight, it seems like, on entry and even exit.
Yeah, it was really tricky. Like the Gen 4 cars, they were just kind of loose overall. So you kind of like knew what to expect on entry and exit and just how much throttle input to give it as well as with the steering. But with these trucks, like they felt tight, and then like mid-corner they'd feel pretty tight getting in, and then on the exit, for me especially, it was, like you guys saw, it snapped on me, and I couldn't even do anything. Like I tried to hold on to it, but just figured it was better to spin it out and try to restart.
I mean, you restarted, got yourself rolling, and found yourself in third here tonight. John, coming into this evening, you were tied. There were a 3-car tie for 12th in points. You're still searching for that first win this season. Are you surprised on how this season's been going for yourself, or are you feeling like things are starting to turn around as we're inching closer and closer to the playoffs?
I've been expecting like these good performances and stuff, and it's like I'd really love to have a win by now, but with all the misfortune and stuff that's happened this season, I feel like I've been able to come back in a lot of these races that I've had big damage in, or just unfortunate things happen. So it just kind of shows the kind of rebound we're able to do with the team here, and we're always there at the end. It seems like no matter what happens, like even Nick Crawford's destroyed truck still in there at the battle at the end. So it's just kind of what we do as a team. We come in and we expect to get good performances, and we don't ever let ourselves get down about what's going on in the race and stuff. We put our head down. We get to work every single week.
That you certainly did here tonight. Congratulations on a third place finish, John. And before we officially let you go, the floor is now yours for any shoutouts.
Yeah, I just want to thank all the friends and family that tuned in tonight, all the sponsors, GA Performance Mods, Bosla, Block Tech, for joining us this season. Just want to thank all the teammates for all the help and support we got for this race tonight. Looking forward to next week, and just want to thank you guys for putting these on every single week.
Well, thank you for giving us a show to cover. It was a good one here tonight. Congratulations on third, and good luck next week at Chicagoland.
Thank you, guys.
Well, from third place, let's go to our spotlight driver, where we've talked to a lot of snowy desert racing drivers. Well, here's the one that got sandwiched in between some. Fifth place finisher of Kyle Rochelle. Kyle, it's Sam and Zach up in the booth. Congratulations on a top 5 finish. You're one of those drivers that needed a good points day. You got it. And how are you feeling after tonight's run?
Yeah, it's a little surprising. I'm not going to lie. We were faster than I thought we were going to be. Struggled a little bit in practice, and then we were able to find some speed, in the early stage, and then through the mid of the race. Felt pretty good. So see what happens here going the next 2 weeks. Hopefully I gain a bunch of points, but I don't know. It's going to be close.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was going to get at, Kyle. So first off, congrats on the top 5 run here tonight, man. That's good for you for points. 28 points back from Logan Breaky. I mean, there's a ton of guys very close in front of Breaky, so it's not just him that you need to catch up to, but you gained on a lot of those guys here tonight, man. But we got Chicagoland and Richmond, like you said, the next 2 weeks. How do you feel heading into those tracks, and how you stack up?
Yeah, well, I put myself in a hole at New Hampshire, and, just struggled there, and then missing last week hurt us, but I mean, Chicagoland, I think it's going to be tough. The draft package and all that. It's tricky. And then Richmond, just got to survive, just like tonight. I'm probably assuming, but I think we can get it in there. I think. Be nice to get a win.
I mean, it certainly would be. Tonight was looking good for yourself, Kyle. A strong performance. Congratulations on 5th. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout-outs.
Thank you. I just gotta appreciate you guys, everything you do. Gotta thank the whole league and whole late Apex team. I think Ryan pulled off like a 10th, and Austin was 16th. So we weren't great, but we survived. So just gotta look forward to watching the replay again, and thank everything you guys do.
Well, thank you for giving us a great show to cover. That's going to be Kyle Rochelle in the 21 machine, coming away 5th here tonight. Congratulations on that, and good luck next week.
Thanks.
Well, from interviews, we get ourselves prepared to take a look at the unofficial results for tonight's race. Certainly a good one. A lot of drivers bouncing up and down throughout the field, but it was Mark Whitley, aggressive driving at the end, with a gutsy call. The only driver to take 2 tires on the last restart, on the last time they came into pit road, and it worked out for the 77 to grab his 3rd win of the season. Christopher Norris coming away 2nd, 3rd goes to John Forbes, Nick Crawford 4th, 5th, Kyle Rochelle. 6th goes to Cody Reed. Didn't talk about the 25 a lot here tonight, but a strong run to get a top 10 finish with Trenton Jump in 7th. He had a major slide, came back. Justin T. Campbell, didn't talk about him after his slide, but comes away with a top 10. Same for Danny Cochran and Ryan Bird. I mean, Zach, it looked like a lot of drivers that had self-spins. Most of them were able to recover.
Yeah, it's crazy as we look through that order. I mean, it is really a lot of people who definitely recovered. So it shows you at Bristol, if you can limit the mistakes, you can have them, but you just can't have too much that knocks you completely out. I mean, like someone like Ali Fonseca, who did finish 24th here tonight, 37 laps down, stage 1, gets some damage on the nose, the engine expires, and just shows you how fast Bristol can kind of go from great to not a good night. So it's a very tough track, and I think a lot of drivers are going to be happy that next week's Chicagoland, because I think that track is a little bit, more tame for these guys. Yeah, the draft's going to be strong, but it'll be a place where they can try to go and maybe get themselves a win to get them in the playoffs.
I think if we take away last season's Chicagoland, you could say that it was a tame track, but if you look back to last season, there were some massive wrecks. We had 2 big ones that really shook up who could get into victory lane, and it gave some opportunities to some unlikely winners to get the win. So you never know what you're going to find. With 2 more races left before the playoffs, points are going to be the thing of talking notes moving forward. Strong runs for Kyle Rochelle. Others that need a good run falling extremely short. So it's the points gap for that bubble spot's just going to grow closer and closer, and it just makes me more excited, Zach. Playoff racing right around the corner. This is when things get intense, and tonight kind of felt like a playoff race at times with the way that these guys were running.
It really did. You can feel the intensity start to ramp up for the league as it gets closer and closer to the playoffs. And you have to do that as a driver. Even if you're a driver that is locked in and very well off, I think you need to start to get in that mentality, because if you just try to go first week of the playoffs and have that mentality, it's kind of hard to switch that mode on. So I think these next 2 weeks, even like tonight, will only get more and more ramped up into that playoff feeling of drivers racing. So I'm excited, Sam. I think we got 2 great weekends or great weeks coming for us, and I think the points will be very, very close heading out of Bristol here. I mean, with how the gap, how it was right there above the cut line in 16th, it can get very, very close heading into Richmond, hopefully.
It certainly could be. Excited for it. And also, with this Bristol race being finished, it finishes out our trilogy of Bristol races. The last, counting tonight, last 3 broadcasts have been at Bristol. But for this week, it continues on tomorrow night. We're going to find ourselves with a full send racing series, more short track action, but instead of Bristol, we head to Iowa for the 5th race of the season for the full send drivers in the Xfinity car. Then Wednesday night, let's go back, legacy vehicles and a legacy track. We head to Texas 09 configuration with the WSSR Roast to Gems series. Then on Thursday, Stars and Stripes heads to Nashville Super Speedway. More concrete action, and how can that series bring out another fabulous finish? Can't wait for it. Plenty of great action, and then we're right back here next week for Chicagoland, the penultimate race before the playoffs. Who is going to make it is the question. But for tonight, thank you so much for joining with us. Zach, certainly a lot of racing action on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, and it should be a fabulous week.
It really should be. I'm excited for these next couple races, and they should be good shows for all the fans at home. So like Sam said, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification so you can be notified when you go live, because we have great action every single night that we go live here. So again, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we're here on Freaky Fast.
We are proud to give you some of the best racing action coverage out there. And for tonight, thank you for your patience. I know we were with a different graphics package. Some of it was fun. Others, I know it was a little bit difficult. We are highly appreciative to all the viewers that were patient with us. Thank you for joining with us on tonight's broadcast. Bristol, the Larry Art Productions 200 goes to Mark Whitley. Another great race for the Truck Series. But tonight is done. Tomorrow is the new start as the Full Send Racing Series heads to Iowa in the Xfinity car. Can't wait for it. That's going to be our next Freaky Fast broadcast. We'll see you tomorrow night.